Welcome back, everybody. We're continuing on with our 10 questions segment. I'm Scott Warofka, Associate Publisher for SC Biz News, and I'm joined now for 10 questions with Jonathan Dawley, President and CEO of KION North America Group. Jonathan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I also would like to mention that Jonathan has helped us a lot in shaping this conference and expo by being a member of our advisory panel. So thank you very much for your part with that, because I'm not trying to put you on the spot, not on our list of questions, but Keon has been a supporter of this for several years.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yeah, no, obviously manufacturing is growing intensely, and we want to make sure our name's out in front as that happens.
Well, with as much as you all are providing solutions to our manufacturers, I'm sure it's very easy to do. I know you all recently announced plans to expand in Summerville facility. I was out there a couple weeks ago. I think you even saw the video I had mentioned. I got to operate one of the forklifts. We'll post that again here, but talk to me a little bit about the expansion there. What specific innovations, product lines are going to be covered in that new facility?
Yeah, for sure. As part of what we've done, not only have we expanded our production capabilities, but we've also resourced our supply chain, and we've developed a number of new product portfolio items to be able to bring to the North American market to meet customers' needs here. Certainly, trade policy, tariffs, etc., had an influence in evaluating onshoring of capabilities and also resourcing of that supply chain to various markets to support our activities. What we've stood up over the past couple of years is basically 2.5 years worth of work that we've been undergoing. It's been new production capability for raw materials processing through our operations. And that's everything from cutting, shot blasting, welding, machining, automated painting, all new assembly lines as well. So our business during that time, while we've been redoing these activities, has actually grown significantly as well. So we've added new assembly lines to be able to handle the additional volume and the new product portfolio that we've rolled out at that same period. While we've been doing that, we also had a logistics element to that. So through our business growing, we have two elements of logistics. One is taking care of our existing customers through our parts distribution capability. So we stood up a brand new parts distribution center, and we stood up a raw material sequencing facility to handle all the new raw material coming through to be able to process that onto the production lines in an efficient manner.
Truly a total solutions provider now is what you're saying. I mean,
correct.
From soup to nuts.
Yeah, exactly. So over the years, we've had various areas of our product portfolio where we've had some gaps. Our goal has been to close those gaps and to close the gap of making sure that we have good lead times in the marketplace and competitive cost. And so we've really looked at that supply chain, transportation, logistics element to make sure that we can drive those activities.
It allows you to control a little bit more than perhaps in older days, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And particularly as we've gone through COVID times, etc., we've seen everywhere from freight costs skyrocketing to freight in logistics, transportation time skyrocketing. And so we've got to really manage that whole environment on a continuous basis. And so we've taken some of these actions specifically to secure the supply chain, reduce the freight time, and reduce freight cost, and just put more control in our own hands here locally.
Amazing and fascinating, and I can understand. It's so interesting to think, as we're sitting here in November of 2024, that COVID was not that long ago, and look at that just allowed you all to discover new areas where you can create efficiencies and help improve the business and solutions you're providing to others.
Yeah, and those opportunities were certainly there before, but
Sure.
The impetus has helped us build that business case and get that story told to be able to take some action and really start driving forward. So it's unlocked a huge amount of opportunity.
Interesting. As a leader in industrial trucks, how is KION North America approaching the increasing demand for, and I think this could be also a result a little bit of some of the pandemic, the automation efforts, and also any e-commerce fulfillment solutions?
Yeah, so I'll answer this on a couple of fronts. One is what we've done inside of our operations, but then number two, what we offer to the customer base. So inside of our operations, we've had to stand up a significant amount of automation. And as we're scaling, yes, we want to be able to hire more people, but we also want to grow efficiently and profitably as we do that. So we have looked at that automation space, and as I mentioned, things like cutting, shot blasting, machining, automated painting. We've automated everything that we could that made financial sense to be able to scale up in the right way. Yes, we've had to hire new employees, but we're trying to grow in an efficient manner as well. And on the flip side, we have been a leader for many years in automated vehicles. And as customers have gone through the same journeys that we've gone through, they've really asked the same question about automate, whether I'm in a distribution center, a manufacturing facility, what's the right space for me to apply my manual headcount in that direct labor activity to process manually in my operations versus automating those operations. And so we've been able to scale up the capability to consult with customers on the best areas to automate, how to get that done. And now we also offer the entire portfolio of products within the marketplace here, both on the software and on the physical product, to be able to automate a customer's operation.
Incredible. And the e-commerce element to that?
Well, on the e-commerce front, we really serve the e-commerce customer base as a targeted market opportunity that we focus on. So yes, there's this manufacturer. We're sitting in a manufacturing conference here right now, but from the Amazons and these types of customers, we're certainly focused on helping those customers scale their businesses to serve the market in an efficient manner. And when you look at the employee base that they deal with, you may have a facility that could have 3,000 employees that are operating within a distribution center, a significant amount of turnover within that operation, safety concerns, etc. So we're bringing technology to bear to help those operations be more efficient, more effective, more stable in how they're operating. So yes, you may need manual labor in a certain part of that operation, but there's certain elements that we can fully automate. In some facilities, you can completely automate that operation in total.
Since we are at the Manufacturing Conference and Expo, it's interesting to talk about some of the topics that we're going to be discussing and diving a little bit deeper into. And I'd love to hear a little bit about Keon's role in sustainability. It's a topic that everyone is certainly mindful about and trying to make changes and improve our sustainability. What steps is Keon taking to do that?
I'll give you some kind of macro examples and some very practical, tactical examples. At a macro level, looking at it from a product development perspective, we have a constant focus on driving our materials to be efficient to produce and efficient to operate, and to drive down the carbon content of the products themselves.
Wow.
Within our supply chain. So this is our overall macro product planning and engineering perspective and how that integrates into our operations. At the operational level, we're really driving things like solar power. So our main production facility is 85%. The power that's consumed at that facility is 85% covered by our solar farm, both on the roof and throughout our operations on the ground there. We're actually in the process right now of looking at putting solar on our new operations that we just stood up so that we can absorb the energy and consume the energy cost of that facility as well, and the impacts of the energy of that facility. As we're going forward, we just stood up a brand new paint line, and we know we're going to consume a significant amount of gas. As a result of that, we have infrared heating, we have gas power fire heating in there, and so we know we have consumption coming on that front. And so our team's already looking at and calculating what those dynamics are going to drive for us, and then how are we going to offset those things, as we go into the coming years, as that starts to really fire up and our volume continues to grow.
Truly,
so that's always out front.
Oh my goodness, truly stewards of the community by making sure that you're being mindful of those things even before implementation.
But it goes even down to very tactical, and this is kind of maybe a practical example I want to give you. It goes down to waste of wood, right? Okay. And how we can actually process pallets coming through our facilities, reclaiming that wood, processing that wood through, and then putting that properly back out into the ecosystem. And so, our industrial engineering teams and our facility teams, our EH&S teams, are all working together to look at how we do very basic things such as this, waste reduction within our facilities. We have, byproducts of paint supplies that we have to deal with, etc. So we're all very carefully watching our waste and recycling activities. Is just a very basic, in many companies are doing these very same things, but certainly we're on top of those.
But you're looking at all facets of the business. I mean, to talk about how to utilize the wood pallets, I mean, that seems like something that would be very, very elementary, and I applaud you all for taking that into consideration. And
I'll give you one more.
I love it. Please, there's one more.
I want to take this down into our products that we deliver to our customers. So we this year, really over the past 2 years, we've stood up lithium-ion battery assembly capabilities within our facility. And from a product perspective, one of the things that we drive in our design of our products is to try to make them more energy efficient to operate than anybody else in the marketplace. And so there are products that you can buy from us that we can prove to the customer that we are 30% more energy efficient than any other product. And as you pair that up with lithium ion products, you really take that whole sustainability package to another level, both consuming less energy, being more efficient in how you're leveraging the energy. The two products are designed to work together in the most efficient manner possible. And then together you have a great package.
Yeah, more hours running on a. That's right. See, and again, that's one of the areas where Keon is truly leading in sustainability. So I mentioned that's one of the topics that we're talking about here at the South Carolina Manufacturers Conference and Expo. One of the other topics that's near and dear to my heart is workforce development. And, I think I've gone on the record as saying I know that we've done a tactful job of bringing in wonderful businesses, but in order to sustain that, keep that going, we have to provide a workforce. What role is Keon playing in workforce development in South Carolina?
I guess I'll respond at two levels. One is at the secondary education level throughout the Charleston area. Our counties are Charleston, Dorchester, and Berkeley County. Within the school systems, we have the career and technical education programs that have been stood up. So many high schools have additional schools that have been built into the high schools that have these various career and technical, whether it's welding, healthcare, journalism, a number of different of these career programs that help students define these skill sets and be able to go down those routes. So we plugged in to those environments. And what we're really encouraging is apprenticeship programs to be able to move from those environments into somewhere like a Trident Tech, where we can actually go into an official apprenticeship program. And we've got a great example in our business of someone who came through an industrial engineering program at Trident Tech and is now, we sent on and we paid for the balance of their degree. And now have gotten their 4-year degree, an electrical engineer, and now working with us full time in our engineering department. And so we're excited to leverage on those opportunities. I think the apprenticeship programs, which is what this individual actually came through with us, is a huge opportunity.
And Jonathan, that started on the high school level, you said?
Yeah, that individual came to us from a job fair at a high school.
Wow.
Ended up going to Trident Tech. We put them through their electrical engineering degree at the Citadel, and then of course gave them a job with us, which was part of the package deal. Of course, us paying for their education. But I think many different companies right now are really trying to leverage on this apprenticeship program. And certainly, yes, you can go into a 4-year degree straight out of school, and whether it be parents pushing their kids to do that, etc. And certainly I have with my own children as well. But I think sat down with the superintendent of Dorchester schools over the past year and had this exact same conversation. My desire is to get in front of parents, to have a conversation with them, to say, look, your student, yes, they could go to a 4-year degree. They can be building up debt as they're going through that 4-year degree, come out with debt, be seeking for a job, may or may not find a job, and may take them time to find that. Or you could go into an apprenticeship program, going through Trident Tech, have your 2 years of school paid for, get all those introductory classes, be working an apprenticeship program with us, being paid through that entire time. We pay for your next 2 years of your 4-year degree, free of charge, guaranteed job with us, part of that agreement.
Wow.
Now you actually come out with money in your pocket, putting a down payment on your first home as a result of that entire 4 years of engagement through that process. So that's a different way of looking at the world, and something that South Carolina offers that's a very strong element of the state is this technical school infrastructure that exists here in the state.
What you just described made me think of almost recruiting high school athletes.
Absolutely.
It sounds like a coach. I mean, you're almost sitting there talking to the parents, saying, I'll take care of your son or daughter.
Right. Different mindset, right? We're trying to solve challenges like affordable housing.
Sure.
And getting children out of school with debt and expecting the federal government to pay for these things. The reality is there is a model that exists. And granted, it's not for everybody, but there's a population of the environment that we could be engaging this way, and that's what we're seeking to do.
Well, and kudos to Keon for being, among others, identifying that as a role that you all can fill and as a resource that is been underutilized to some degree. So, obviously, manufacturing throughout the state constantly changing. Our industries are constantly changing with different advancements in manufacturing. Talk to me a little bit about what you feel as being a leader in industrial trucks manufacturing. What do you think are some of the two questions in one? You'll like the way I do this. What are the biggest challenges, do you think, and where do you see some of the biggest opportunities?
Yeah. Well, I think that certainly biggest challenges is, as our business is growing, it's really getting the right supply chain in place and being able to build out that supply chain with the right cost basis to help us grow profitably. Certainly we can grow quickly, but being able to grow profitably is an important element of that. So
I've been told that
yeah,
profit.
that's an important thing, right?
Thank you.
So building up the supply chain to really support us has been a very key element of that. Certainly continuing to invest in our people and make sure we have the right people on board and the right processes and structure surrounding that from a culture perspective is a very key element. One of the things that we've done over the past 2 years actually is we already had Lean fully implemented in our operational side with very clear value streams defined and continuous improvement processes. But we're actually moving that now onto the white collar side, if you will, through our front end business practices throughout our operations. Very clear metrics, very clear business processes, problem solving techniques, continuous improvement actions being driven just like we do on the manufacturing side. The operation side, we're pushing that through the front end side of the business. And the goal there is to help us be more efficient, more effective, more focused in what we're doing so that we can continue to grow at the pace that we're growing without having to have a whole bunch of costs being dragging along behind us or old bad processes dragging along us at the same time. So it's growing effectively.
Sorry about that. Is that a lot of that? Sounds like some of the data that I know we've kind of referenced before. Is that's a big part of that? I imagine when you're
Oh,
getting into that element.
absolutely. I mean, the first step that we had to go down is actually defining that data, making sure we're effectively tracking that data, efficient ways of continually reporting on it, measuring, monitoring, etc. And then now we're moving into the stage where we're really focused on countermeasure development and making sure we understand the problem statement behind why maybe things aren't effectively operating properly, and then training our team up on all of that problem solving, value streaming activity so that we can redefine those processes, redeploy effectively, and get them changed and retooled. And then seeing that data change at the outcome, right? We want to see the results out of that on the backside.
The data without actually taking action on it or knowing what action needs to be taken, obviously useless. That's why I'm so fascinated how that's worked its way into different elements of your processes as well.
Yeah.
You all obviously produce a wonderful product, but you are also reliant on your dealer network to help get that product in front of the end user. Talk to me a little bit about how you're ensuring that there's exceptional customer service provided through that dealer network.
Yeah. But as we've been growing as a business, we've actually had to make quite a bit of changes throughout our dealer network. One, to make sure we're totally physically covering the marketplace as we're scaling to be able to reach customers. So we have nationwide or even international customers that expect us to care for them on the East Coast as much as we do on the West Coast in the same way with the same processes. So we've actually been making quite a few changes on that front, putting new organizations in place throughout different markets. We recently just expanded locations in Florida, for example, to cover the market more effectively there. We're continuing to do that in other markets. So we're excited to see that growth continuing to occur, making sure that our dealers are operating up to a certain standard, right? We want the customer experience to be the same, the McDonald's experience, right? Same East Coast as it is West Coast. So you can go one place and get the same delivered to you. So we're starting to see that happen throughout the country. Really, it's U.S., Canada, and Mexico is what we're responsible for here from a North American perspective. So we're really starting to see that happen ubiquitously across the markets. We're excited for the customers that they can rely on us here. And that hasn't always been the case, and something that has been over the years they've been throwing in our faces. But we're now actually seeing that, we've seen that change. And it's not just at the dealer community, but this parts distribution center that I mentioned to you is delivering at world-class levels. And so the customers can rely on us from a parts supply, our dealers can rely on us from a parts supply perspective. And now at the field level, the customers can expect trained technicians, consistent support, also from a geographical perspective to be able to reach the customer.
Total solution, ongoing process. It's like I said again, soup to nuts.
That's right.
Obviously, you're going to take them throughout that entire life cycle. I think,
Yeah.
one of the things I picked up from some of our previous conversations, again, Jonathan serves as a member of the Manufacturers Conference and Expo Advisory Board, but you're unabashedly proud to be in South Carolina.
Yes.
Talk to me about some of the advantages of actually being a South Carolina headquartered
Yeah.
entity.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think there's really two elements that hit me right away on this. Number one is being in Charleston and having a global supply chain. We are right at the port, and we have very good local logistics relationships, but we also have great freight relationships. In fact, one of the things that we've done over the past couple years as well is really retooled our entire freight infrastructure to make sure that we've got the most effective, efficient, cost-effective ways of doing things. But we have a great relationship with the port. They process things through in a very timely manner. And then that local logistics capability to be able to get things on site in an effective manner as well has been phenomenal. So I think for us, being right at the port is obviously super critical.
We were talking a little bit about that off camera beforehand. I mean, the location there and the opportunities to get product where you need it just can't be beat.
Absolutely. And, from a state perspective, I want to give shout out really to the state, from a Department of Commerce, from a South Carolina Research Authority, from the local operations from Dorchester County and Berkeley County that we've worked with. At all levels, things have been phenomenal. The relationship with the state and with local governments has been very good, been completely and fully supportive. We've stood up 750,000 square feet essentially over the past 2 years. And along with that, we had to put in new roads. We had to put up, new buildings. Obviously, tons of permitting activity going on, environmental impacts, and working through all of that has been really very, very good partnership getting through all that.
In other states, they may not have it as easy as that. It's nice to hear that they help eliminate some of the red tape, but that's wonderful to hear.
Good.
We've talked a little bit about some of the data usage, things like that. What else can we look forward to? What's coming next? What are some things that you're excited about specifically for Keon in the future?
Well, I think from a growth perspective, we're really leveraging technology as a USP, a unique selling proposition for us. We're at the forefront of this. We invest heavily across the global enterprise to make sure that we're designing the software, the hardware, integrating that tightly with our equipment, and then we're able to get out in front of the customer and consult the customer on how to use that effectively and what it means for our operation. Even this morning, as I walked in here before this entire event started, I was in with a manufacturer having a conversation about their specific operation.
Man,
And
it's
what
still
that
work
means,
days.
right? I mean, what does that mean for their operations, and how do they get started? And so for many customers, I'm not ready to go into a huge implementation. I'm not going to commit my whole company to take an entire distribution center or entire manufacturing facility down this path, but I want to get testing. I want to get started.
Right.
And so we make those tools available to help educate the customer and start, putting the products in there which are cost effective. The technology is easy to deploy, get that up and running, and then we can advance you from there into your next stages. So I think that's it.
Scalable implementation, or is that
That's right.
Am I?
Exactly.
I'm summarizing.
You got
Okay.
better words than I had.
No, no. But I was curious. I'm trying to make sure I understand. That's very interesting because I think what you're saying is that obviously there's solutions that you can provide to anyone, regardless of size of operations. So that's 9 questions. So this is the 10th and final question. So obviously we've got a great crowd here today at the South Carolina Manufacturers Conference and Expo. What kind of advice would you give to South Carolina manufacturers looking to optimize their supply chain and operations?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, and we've gone through this as a business specifically over the past really 4 years, essentially, kind of remapping our business, where we're headed as a company long term, but really dealing with also the short term dynamics of tariffs and supply chain constraints, etc. And it all starts with, one, what is your vision? As I just said, what are you trying to accomplish? What's your financial objectives? What are your cultural objectives? Customer service expectations, product portfolio that you're looking to take to the marketplace, laying that out in front of you, making sure that that's absolutely clear and that your people are clear on that front. Your people can't activate for you if they're not aware of what you're trying to accomplish. So having that engagement process, that catch-ball process back and forth, so people understand the why behind where you're trying to go as well at the same time. And as you engage that, you enable your people to start thinking creatively and from a continuous improvement perspective about how to help you get there. It's not just about what you as leadership think you should do. It's your people have a lot of great ideas and a lot of concepts about how you can get there. So leveraging that power to be able to help you get there and then challenging yourself from a continuous improvement perspective to drive down that path. And we talked in a session early this morning about processes of your business. A lot of companies are looking to get better, but it's not looking at technology first that's going to get you. Yes, we want to sell technology, but we have to help a customer understand their business processes first and understand their cost basis, why they're doing what they're doing. Maybe there's things from a manual perspective you can get started with first to improve, and then we can bring technology in later. But a lot of times it's the manual process steps that need to be optimized first. I'm also on the board of the South Carolina Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and there are resources in the SC MEP that can actually get out into the manufacturers of South Carolina to help them assess these opportunities, document them, and help put processes in place and walk them through the process steps to get better. And as that happens, then you can start to flow in some of these technologies or even different manual products to help them do that. But I think starting with those basic process steps, but with the vision out ahead, so your people know where you're headed, so they know how to plug into that and help the company improve to get to where you want to go.
And it really, I think you, to summarize that, I'm thinking it really is identify what the end is going to look like.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't know where you're trying to get to,
Right.
you can't get the people on board, and you're not going to identify a solution that can actually help you get.
That's right.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's good.
Jonathan, it was great to finally meet you. We've met a couple times on camera before, but this is the first time in person. So Jonathan Dawley, President and CEO of KION North America Group. Thank you for taking some time with us.
For sure. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Right.